ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the Conway review, the new British Tier 9 TD. I know I'm doing this in a weird sequence, but this just happened to be the tank I managed to ace from the entire line, and yeah, there's some good games to show here. But first of all, let's look into the armor, as we always do. You have 76 upper and lower plate, don't really expect to bounce anything at Tier 9 really with this, it's not that good. The good news is, however, that HE is not gonna hurt you, like T49s are not gonna eat you alive, 4000 damage every shot. There's no real weight dip in you frontally, so that is something you don't need to be afraid of, and a lot of T49 players don't know this and they'll try to HE you thinking that they can easily do it, but while in real life there is no real chance for them unless they're shooting heat, and even then they might bounce that as well. Third armor, 132 frontally, it's flat as a brick, so don't expect to bounce much again. The good news, again, is that you have quite a capable gun mantlet, as weird as it might sound, and if you use the terrain properly with this tank, you don't really want to show anything below this line to anyone, and then when you think about it, they have quite a high chance to actually hit this gun mantlet. And when you look at the armor here, it's actually quite nice at places. You get the 270, 260, there is some 130 spots as well, so don't expect to bounce every shot, and don't expect people to hit your gun mantlet if you show them your entire tank, but it can happen, and when it does, it's kind of funny, and yeah. It's kind of funny. These cheeks are auto bounce as well, so don't need to worry about that at all. Side of the turret, trash. Side of the hull, trash. Traverse on the hull is actually pretty good, and you have some side armor. This counts as spaced side armor. It's 6 armor, so it's not magic and it's not Russian, so that is that. But you do get some thick tracks here, so if you do some side scraping, you actually might have a chance to bounce with your tracks, just because people tend to just look at the hull and think that it's made out of paper. If you compare this to something like a Conqueror, it actually has better side scraping potential, because this tank is like, it feels way easier to pen with HE. Maybe that's just me, but not HE. It feels way easier to pen with when it's side scraping, but yeah, the Conway, it's not really a well-armored tank whatsoever, but let's look into the rest of the stats. We are comparing it to the Conqueror because that's kind of the most similar tank there is to this. So first of all, insanely good DPM for a Tier 9 TD. This is not really accurate for the standard value, so I'm not really gonna bother with that. Gun depression, bad news here, -5. It is really annoying, really bad. And gun elevation, also extremely bad with +10. It's almost unbearable to shoot this thing on the move because of the bumps on the terrain. Power to weight, pretty damn good compared to the Conqueror. It's pretty damn good for a Tier 9 TD. The bad news here is that the speed is capped at 35. So the tank is going to reach 35 quite quickly, but after that is going to struggle quite a lot, and their resistance is better than on the Conqueror, so expect this tank to shift way better than the Conqueror. The aiming stats are worse than, aiming soft stats are worse than on the Conqueror, but that's mostly because the tank is just faster than the Conqueror. That being said, I'm pretty sure we're done with this, and we can go to the replays. So here's the first game, but as always, before we go into the gameplay, let's read some spreadsheet, because why not? So 1500 hit points, extremely bad, probably the least hit points you can get on the Tier 9 tank destroyer. Comparing it to the Turtus 2000 or the Conqueror's 1950, it looks completely ridiculous. The worst part about it is that you can get clipped by a 50B, T57 heavy, and even the T4E1, which is an extremely bad thing if you didn't realize that. Top speed forwards, 35 kilometers an hour. It's quite annoying because the tank reaches that speed really quickly and then it gets stuck there, which is quite annoying. Backwards 20, pretty good compared to the rest of the British. Then we have the horsepower per ton ratio, 18.62, extremely good for a TD. But as I said, the top speed limit caps it so badly that it doesn't really matter that much. Traverse speed, 28 degrees per second, also decently good, slightly better than on the Conqueror, not medium tank like yet though. So yeah. View range 380, with good crew and optics you can get away with it. If you have a bad crew, you probably want to use binos. Turret traverse 16 degrees per second, pathetic. It's just pathetic. If you get your turret damaged in this tank, you have to repair. You can't work with 8 degrees of turret traverse ever. When we talk about the gun, 400 alpha, 259 penetration, the APM on stock value is 3076. It is slightly worse than on the turret, it's around 10% and quite a bit better than on the Conqueror. Accuracy 0.32, reload time, well, that doesn't really matter because the stock values don't really matter. Aiming time 1.9 seconds. Depression -5, extremely bad. Elevation +10, extremely bad, as I said before. So what do you do with this tank? Well, first of all, sniping, whenever you have an option to do that, you should try to do that. Put some range in between you and your enemies and try to just get some shots in, like I am trying to do it here. Just trying to get some ridiculous angles here through the frames. Even though the gun is extremely accurate, you still have to get quite lucky to hit these shots, and it still will go for it. As it will turn out in the end, wasting ammo will actually be a problem, but we do pen these shots most of the time, so it's not really a waste of ammo anyways. But when you come to the point where you have to choose between camping in the corner of the map or actually trying to play the game, you should probably always go for trying to actually play the game, and instead of sitting like where our Artie is now, you should actually try to find positions that are actually good. Instead of just hoping that your enemies are going to drive into your guns, or you can farm them where your team is taking all the hits for you. Especially when you're top tier. When you're bottom tier, you can actually get away with the camping, and now quite a bad streak of shots here. Still, it would be quite silly to complain with pretty much 2100 damage done now. Going to drop now. There's not really that much left in Dice 7 and all that shit. Then not really threaten me that much anyways. I'm going to go after them, and we will lose the base soon enough. But whenever you have to pick between finishing off your flank or going back, it's usually better to finish off the flank you're on, unless you can see that it's going to be finished off by your teammates, because leaving these guys alive would mean certain defeat, even if we go back, and even if they do, if we get to reset and they actually go for the cap, we will still lose because we will get shot in the back by the tanks we didn't kill here. So killing these is extremely important, and if we don't do that, we pretty much throw the game away. So equipment you want to use on this thing has to be rammer, ventilation, and coated optics. If you don't have good enough crew, then binos over coated optics. As you see, the aiming time is alright. It struggles a lot from the fact that the tank has good acceleration, so the aiming spread is quite noticeable and right away, so that is quite annoying. But still, I would say the gun is reliable enough to use ventilation over gun leg drive. Here, I'll just trade the shots if I have to, and if I don't, I'll just kill him. So, 3k damage, 2 kills, and now we can go back. Now we have killed these guys, and we are sure that we won't have anybody behind us now. Just need to find a good point to drop without losing all my health. And so far, I haven't really done anything. I have sniped like a beach and pretty much farmed some tanks that didn't even know where I was shooting them from properly and couldn't defend. But now that those times are over, we actually need to spot our own food and actually go for them on our own. Jingles is there with his Leopard PTA, but if he gets rushed by either the Batchet or the 50B, he's gonna be dead really soon, and he spots the Batchet and the E100 with the 50B is already in his face, so he is going to die there, and there's nothing really we can do about it. But I will take this position and try to get some damage on the E100 or the Batchet, whichever one I can see first. And this is a bit more classic engagement where you see your enemies and they see you. You just try to make your shots count. I shoot the 50B because it's a bit more value target than the E100. E100 misses me as well, so that gives me way more time to aim properly and plant my shot, which misses anyways. Obviously you can't really reliably hit that lower plate. The Batchet, we can see it under the E100 we're hitting. That would be insanely lucky, so I'm not really going for it. I'm going for the lower plate still. Gets spotted, E100 misses again. You don't really want to sit still in the same spot, and that was quite a lucky shot. Wasn't like super lucky, but it wasn't fully aimed, that's for sure. Shot into 50B, and he does hit my gun mantlet, which can happen, as I said before. It's not that even unlikely that people hit your gun mantlet, just because how the turret is shaped, and if you're properly positioned this tank, the gun mantlet actually takes up most of your turret anyways. You can just appreciate how good this gun is as well here. 450 meters E100 lower plate, betting him quite often, bend more shots than I bounce, so that is always a good sign. Obviously when he comes to the kill shot I will probably bounce, of course, that's just how it works, and I can get spotted. I don't know by whom, probably by the IS-8 behind me, but I am going to try to pick up the kill, and I do. And the IS-8 shoots me in the back, but me and Circon should double tap him now, and he should be done with his life. I'm gonna make sure that this has the best chance to hit the hull as I can. And now we have two enemies left, the mouse and the Foch 155. The mouse is quite healthy still, and so is the Foch. So when it comes to shooting mouses, you can pen the turret cheeks frontally with quite the ease, unless it's angled pretty well. And here the first shot that I have flat shot into his side of his turret. Usually you don't really want to go for the side, but since I'm above him and it was looking at like 45 degrees away from me, it was quite an easy shot to make. Now I get lucky here with him not damaging me. I thought I could pen his side there, but I could not. And notice that I'm running out of ammo and almost get stuck here as well. That would be a ridiculous way to end this game, by getting stuck here. Do take one shot because of it though. Shoot on the move, maybe not the most efficient use of ammo once again, but I do track him, so that is useful on its own. I do damage this time and he dies with from the IS-7 and now the Foch 155, he's around 1000 health. We can't really see him though, but Circon actually had him in his range, so he actually knew that. We're just gonna make sure that we don't get singled out and focused by that guy. He probably is going for a reload now, at least that's what any sane person would do. And if you look at the X3M, we can see that he is a sane person, so it's highly unlikely that he's gonna shoot any of us now. Sadly, me and Circon are both one-shots for him, and only the IS-7 can take a hit, which makes our chances to kill him a bit more limited than they would be otherwise. It pretty much means that we need to be careful. One thing I should be careful of, but I won't be careful of, is my ammo count. I only have 2 AP and 3 HE. Carrying 3 HE isn't really a big mistake. This is like pretty much one game in 100 when I actually ran out of ammo. Pretty much ran out of AP ammo. And there is the Foch, 1300 health, 1350. He's splitting between aiming at me or aiming at the IS-7. Started aiming at the IS-7. This was a mistake. I should have aimed that shot fully, but then again, you can't really guarantee a hit even at this range. And as you can see, trying to aim at his low weak spot there, aimed fully and still missed. Now I'm left with 3 HE shells. First one I'll try to plant into his weak spot, even though this is a mistake. With the HE you should go for the sides of tanks or the thinnest armor you can find, and in that case it definitely is the side. As you can see, he rolled 208 in his side. He fired 3 times now, so we can push in and go for him. I hope that my IS-7 or at least Circon will do some more damage to him, so I can go in for the kill. One shot is now 480 health. I definitely cannot pen him unless I go for his side with HE, and now he's arguably a one shot if I roll my HE lucky, which I am obviously will try to do. So the smart play here would be just to wait till one of us goes around. The IS-7 lost health as well, so he's the one shot now as well, so theoretically we could still throw this game, and the best way for me to throw this game is to shoot my last shot into him and not kill him, but I'll still want to get the medal for killing the last enemy with the last shot, so I'm gonna be greedy motherfucker and go for the kill anyways. So here it is. I'm actually not sure if he has reloaded yet or not, so I am a bit cautious here, and I will go for the shot into the weak spot and actually do roll 216 in this one, so I'll get the last kill with the last shell. So here's the end plate. Ace Tanker Fade-In's medal, I'm pretty sure is the one I was talking about. Top gun, high caliber, 7001 damage done, so some blind shots hit, 2000 spotting, 1752 base experience, which is pretty damn ridiculous, and 6 kills as well. This game was 1 in 100, where you actually had like a good start, good mid game, and good late game. Completely ran out of ammo, as you could see, and because of the mission I even made 100k profit, which is also quite ridiculous. That being said, let's move on to the next game. For the second game, using that YouTube personality Chetus to get into this matchmaking. Usually you don't want to be the top tier, especially if the enemies have like an Eastern E5 and you're the only top tier in your team in this thing, but in this case the enemies only have the Arty, so I might as well are matched against only tier 8s, which is quite ridiculous. I mean, there's no way this is a fair matchmaking, I will admit that already, and I'm a lucky son of a bitch to get into this matchmaking, I'll admit that as well, but even in games like this, I mean, there's a couple ways you could play this. I could play it like I did before, where I just rank off at the back at the start and just do nothing, or I could actually try to play extremely aggressively to make sure that the impact I have on this game is enough to win it. So apart from the enemy Artie in their team, I don't really have to worry about much. The first shot here was gonna be at the scout who was tired of his life. We take that out really quick, and now, I mean, I could sit where the T-71 is, I wouldn't have enough gun depression. Instead, what I am going to do is try to put this thing hull down, try to peekaboo the living crap out of all these tier 8s. I have to be aware of what the RD does and when he fires and when I'm completely safe to just sit in the open and shoot. This tank reloads in around 6 seconds, so you don't really want to waste your time. Now we hear the one RD shell has been just dropped, so we have enough time to shoot at least 3 or 4 times without even worrying about that at all. We sadly get the 112 let the 112 get away, but we do get the shot into the Tiger. We're gonna take another one really quickly here. As you can see, the DPM on this thing eats tier 8 extremely quickly. This is really what you want to do with this tank to be effective. And now it's about the time for the enemy RD to be reloaded, so I kind of have to be careful. And as you can see, I mean, I could say this all day. I mean, I got lucky there, but still, I had this feeling that the RD might be looking for it, so I might trying to do something that he might not expect, and I guess I get away with it. I mean, this position is all about not getting RD'd, and if I do get RD, I'm gonna get fucked. And sadly I missed that one. That would have been a really nice outcome for me to shoot that AT-15 there once again. But after the RD has missed, I have a lot of time now to relocate into RD safe position if I want to do so. I am doing it for now. Obviously, I'm going to be in the center of RD's attention just because I am going to in my team. Do trade with an FCM50T, and the funny thing is he thinks he can trade well with me, but he actually cannot. Our reload is extremely similar, and for every 240 he does, I do 400, so it's not a good trade for him at all. Now the Caravan does something really weird and stupid. I'm not really paying that much attention to it, but now I'm kind of forced to. I am going to take a shot by the FCM most likely here, and I do, but it's worth it to get this damage in the Caravan and not let him flank our team. It's really bad to let your teammates get shot in the back because it's gonna create panic and then your team is gonna evaporate. It's kind of the same if you have to choose between shooting somebody in the front or shooting somebody in the back. You always go for the shots in the back just because it is better to create that panic and make the enemies wonder what their teammates are doing and why are you shooting them. FCM dies, putting some more damage into the lava. I am going to go all the way around and start with an AT-15 so I don't get myself flanked by any chance. That's the last thing I would want to happen to me. So let's go for the AT-15A, almost 5k damage done already. You can see how good this DPM is if people let you shoot this gun over and over again. Put one into the AT-15, probably not gonna kill him unless nobody else really shoots him. Nobody did shoot him, so I did get to kill him. 5.5k damage. Tiger 2 in the cap, not really a big threat there, definitely not gonna cap. RD actually doesn't go for me, which is kind of weird. Or maybe he was going for me and missed and hit my teammates. That's also a possibility, I guess. But yeah, as you can see, peeking around corners and doing heavy peekaboo is actually not that difficult in this thing. The only thing you gotta be sure of is that you have enough gun depression to engage your enemies and you don't have to go over the ridges in the open because that will get you killed really, really easily. And I did just miss bounce the ass of the Tiger 2. If you were wondering, did that just really happen? It just really happened. I don't miss this shot, so now the Tiger 2 is definitely going to come for a range shot. We might be able to kill him, we might not. I don't track him there, which is a bit unfortunate. I need somebody actually to put in a shot unless he fucks it up, but RD finishes him off, and that is that. The T-32 is left in the enemy team only. The Batcher already died, so I'm safe to move into the open. As you can see, the stars are pretty much aligned for me in this game, and that's kind of what you need to ace these new TDs soon after the patch has been released. because there's so little people playing these. The 99, the 1% that gives you the ace tanker badge has to be really high. The Artie's getting shot, so the T-32 has to be up there, and there he is. 1000 health. It's unlikely that I can take him on almost regardless of what I do, unless he goes AFK. But we will see what happens. One thing I want to add, just because I showed you these two games, don't think that this tank is extremely good or overpowered. This tank is clunky as shit, and most of the games are going to end for you to where you just don't have enough gun depression. You are engaging tanks that are way better at hull down. You're engaging tanks that actually have gun depression or turret armor. You meet some autoloaders that just rip you to pieces instantly. And now the last engagement for this game, T-32 1000 health. Not really much I can do without getting killed here, really. I don't really have the armor to bounce that gun. But what does the T-32 do? He goes AFK. As I said, all the stars align in this game for me to get the first Mastery badge in this game. This was actually the first ace tanker I got here. So yeah, farming an AFK for 1200 health, 7352 damage in the end. Quite ridiculous actually. So and here's the end place for the ridiculous game. Ace tanker, Confederate and high caliber. As I said, 7352 damage done, 484 assisted. Of ridiculous matchmaking, but then again, even in ridiculous matchmaking like this, you'd still need to make your tank work. And this is not the easiest tank to make work for that kind of matchmaking. I was lucky to dodge the Artie there twice, so that kind of saved my day. 1564 base experience, so nowhere near as much as the game you saw before, but that was obviously because I was shooting the higher health targets. As you see, the rest of my team didn't really contribute much, anything really to this, and again, because of the mission, 100k profit, which is always nice. But yeah, the Conway, it's alright of a tank. It's actually, in my opinion, the best tank in the line. But is it really OP or is it really that good? Not really. It has some really bad characteristics like the extremely low amount of hit points that kind of punishes you for playing it aggressively. I didn't manage to pull it off in the last game just because the majority of the enemy team was tier 8 or tier 7. But most of the time you won't be able to get away with it because you don't trade well and you don't have a lot of health. So the tank is clunky as all hell, and the lack of gun depression is annoying as well. I hope you guys enjoyed this review though. The Conway, one of the best tanks in that line, but I wouldn't even bother touching that line. I will probably try to make a Is It Worth the Grind video soon enough, but till then I would highly recommend you not to touch this line ever. So yeah, I'll see you in the next one.